Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Integer, and welcome to a little performance review of Rainbow Six Siege. This is one of the games that I really wanted to get into over the last couple of weeks. And having built my new PC, specs of which should appear on the screen right about now if you're not familiar yet. And my cat just jumped off. Hi, cat. Bye, cat. And yeah. I know this is a relatively graphically intensive game. It's still pretty new title. It's still very much under development support. Been receiving some good content, new operatives, new maps, and this game's community is thriving and is at its highest that it's ever been. So I wanted to see how well this game would run on a system like mine with a G32 58th anniversary edition clocked at 4 GHz and a GTX 1050 with 8 gigs of DDR3 RAM. Obviously it's a low to potentially mid-end PC at best, and you can't expect to run it everything at maximum. You have to make sacrifices for performance. However, let's see just how much. Well, the recommended NVIDIA settings, as set by the GeForce Experience thingy-machingy that they have, which usually gets things pretty right. I'm usually quite confident with rolling whatever they offer. This time around, this was not the case. They offered relatively high settings, and the frames were pretty unplayable. Now, let me just get something out of the way straight away. Rainbow Six Siege is a much slower first-person shooter where positioning and strategical approach is as important as your Twitch reaction, which means, yes, potentially you may be able to play this game with less than 60 frames per second performance and still be able to stay competitive. However, when the frames drop below 30 in mid to low 20s constantly, I'm not saying just, here and there, that really becomes an issue. Therefore, I had to play around with the settings and the optimal graphical settings. That's my phone vibrating. I'm very sorry, a lot of disturbances today. Medium settings, and this is literally just leaving everything as set by medium overall quality, seems to be the best bet. It stays most of the time over 55 frames or so, with occasional dips below 40 and very rarely to even about 30. However, like I've said, thankfully it's not too often, it's not too prevalent, and the game overall runs pretty good. Bonus side is that even on medium settings, this game still looks very decent. And without any further ado, let me jump into a that's the wrong menu option, into a single player mode where we just fight against terrorists in simulated scenarios, simulated multiplayer scenarios. So you have the same game modes like disarm bomb, hostage rescue, hostage protection, as well as killing all the enemies on the map. Now, one major thing that you may have already noticed is that during the loading and operator selection screen, I remained completely silent. That is because I actually didn't know if Shadowplay would be able to capture video footage, as well as audio correctly. The reason I say that is the loading screens and the operator selection screens are the only times when the game really struggles and when my system really struggles. I mean, right now we can see that both CPU 1 and CPU 2 run at 100% capacity. GPU is doing about 70, now jumped back down to 47 for some reason. However, the loading screens are super laggy. There's pretty much no changes going on. Even if there is some sort of changing background while you wait for the game to load, you don't see any of that. Another thing, unfortunately, when the operator selection screen comes in, you usually are still suffering from that lag, and quite often I had simply to go with the default operator, because I just didn't have time to select an operator I desired, or the ones I wanted to select were already occupied. Now, just to step outside a little bit and give props to the game, that the default operator, the generic one, actually isn't useless. He has decent gun, he still has decent secondary items, and is overall not really a letdown, as it very easily could have been. So yeah, we're running through I wouldn't call them super open spaces, but they are definitely not indoors. We're maintaining steady 60 frames per second right now, with occasional few frame dips. And I actually am not really even sure where I'm going. I'm just going somewhere. Another thing I'm testing is recording on a lower... that was not the button to crouch. On a lower megabit recording quality. The reason I'm doing that is because my last footage suffered from audio and video sync issues. Basically, the audio kept receiving hitches and glitches and would constantly fall 1 or 2 seconds behind the video, which surprisingly enough managed to stay recorded consistently. So it's, as we can see, about 55 or definitely above 50 frames per second indoors. Occasional dip as we just experienced, but check out the stats. CPU, yes, is being throttled at 100% pretty much constantly, but like I've said, that was already a given the processor itself and the fact that it has only 2 cores, but graphics card is handling this no problem, running at 40 degrees if even that hot, and with a load varying between anywhere between, I'd say, 50, 60 and 70, 80%. There's definitely some leg room for that bad boy. Being shot at. And did he actually run away? He did. That guy did not want to die easily. Overall, the game itself, well, if you haven't heard anything or haven't been able to form an opinion about this game yet, I must say it's your loss, because when it comes to tactical, team-based strategic shooters, Rainbow Six Siege is Rainbow Six. Excuse me, Rainbow Six franchise is returned to form in multiplayer mode, full-on multiplayer mode. Yes, you might think that the game is still quite an expensive investment. It's not full $60, 40 pounds, or your regional equivalent price, but I think it's currently here in the UK 30 pounds, which probably means it's $50. But you know what, the game is worth the money in the sense that it has great bustling community, which has only grown over the year and a little bit more than that since the game's release. The Ubisoft are releasing new maps, adding new operatives, which you can get with season pass or DLC sort of things where you pay money and receive them up front. I think there's even a deal where you can receive them a little bit before they are released to the main on the mainstream. But a great thing is that you can actually buy every single operator, or should I say unlock them, with the currency you receive for playing games. Sure, it might seem like a little bit of a grind sometimes because the new operatives... Ooh, this guy is not very responsive. Sure, the new operatives might seem quite expensive because you get on average 100, maybe 150 renown points per game, depending on whether you lose or win. And a new operative from one of the new additions to the game cost 25,000. But you do get daily quests, and if I'm not mistaken, playing with friends might be giving you a little extra. And over, I'd say, 3 or 4 hours that I've played in this week or so, I managed to acquire about 3,000 points. So it's a slow process, but it's definitely doable. And given how much fun I've had with this game and how inaccurate I am with a pistol, apparently, I really see this game having a successful and very promiscuous career in multiplayer genre. So yeah, while I'm dying and being shot by these terrorists, and I am probably gonna simply die very quickly. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope I was able to give a bit more insight on the game, and especially performance of this game on a relatively low to mid-end machine. To sum it up, and if I can say one last thing, definitely play around with the settings, because in a game like this, graphics really fade into the second plan, and as long as you can get smooth experience, this game is definitely worth it. So yeah, my name's been Integer. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you click the like button, and dislike button is right next to it as well, in case you didn't like it. Comments and any thoughts are more than welcome in the section down below. And if you did enjoy the video and would like to stay tuned to my future content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and take care.